Hi everyone, welcome to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel. Thanks for joining us this 3 o'clock hour on Monday afternoon. I'd like to welcome a GoLocal regular, Shira Hirshberg. Thank you for coming in today.
Sure, glad to be here.
With all foods nutrition, it's beginning to feel a little springy outside.
It is, finally.
Finally. So lots of folks talk about spring cleaning. When you think of spring cleaning, you might think of closets, you might think of basements. But what about kitchens and pantries? You've probably got a lot of stuff on your shelves. Is it a good time to really take stock? But where do you begin?
So yes, good time of year to harness the spring cleaning energy and look into your food situation, because lots of you have crackers from 1984. I know you have them. I've cleaned out other people's pantries. I know they're there. So this is a good time to take everything out. So in the beginning, I recommend starting with a full removal, because it's really hard to catch those crackers if you don't take everything out. They'll hide. So you clear off some surfaces. You've got a table available, a lot of space. And I recommend throwing everything on that, getting some Post-its, starting to label some categories. So the categories depend on what you've got in your pantry. But things like grains, breakfast, you can go by meals, you can go by type of food, whatever seems to work for you. Maybe, in my house we have a nuts category. We have enough nuts to make that a category, so it just depends on what you have a lot of in your house. So Post-it some things out, start grouping things together, and that will give you an idea of what you have. That's the first thing, is to take stock.
That's step one. Are we looking at sell-by dates then?
I didn't go there for this segment. It's interesting. I was just reading some information about that, because they put those on there more for a quality control standpoint than for a food safety standpoint. Okay. So let's say it's a little bit past the sell-by date. That doesn't mean it's going to give you a foodborne illness, but it does mean the quality has deteriorated. But anything that's from a year that you're not in, I recommend, if any of those dates have a year that you're not in as a sell by or use by, I recommend getting it out of there. It's a good first pass at dealing with those things. If you want to be on the quality control standpoint, yeah, use those dates. If you want to be on the food safety standpoint, use a loose interpretation of those dates.
I always get told that all the time myself. And actually, one of the things about getting it all out of your pantry too is you can clean stuff up. I mean, you might have some bags of grains or some bags of stuff, and it might kind of maybe found its way down to the cupboard.
Absolutely. You might have holes in your bags. You might have pantry moths. You also might have just some general dirt and grime under there. So it's a good time to clean the shelves.
It's a good time to clean. And when you have all the stuff out there, let's talk about a few things. Springtime, people thinking of eating healthy, maybe eating healthier with an eye to the summer. Yeah. We talked a little bit about this beforehand too. I mean, if there's something you might not need, don't throw out, give away.
Right, absolutely. So the great thing is that the Rhode Island Food Bank, it's on Niantic Ave, they will take donations 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. There might even be more hours than that, but it's right on their website, super easy. Rhode Island Food Bank is always taking donations. So let's say you've switched over to whole grains. That's been your resolution this year. You don't eat anything but whole wheat pasta anymore, but you've got 6 boxes of different types of pasta.
Perfectly fine pasta.
But refined grain, and you don't want to eat anymore. I really recommend sticking to the stuff you actually want to eat and getting rid of that other stuff, because it's kind of like leaving clothes in your closet that don't fit anymore. You really don't want them there. You got to get rid of them. I agree. Same thing with pantry. Closet and pantry, they go together. So just put them all in a box and bring them down to the Rhode Island Food Bank, or other, there are other places that you might know of that you want to donate to, but that's always a good one to be on standby.
And what should you do too if there are some foods that are maybe part of your diet, but something that, just from a health standpoint, maybe it's a mac and cheese. Should you really know yourself if you're like, well, if it's in there and I have nothing left in the house, I know I'm going to go toward it. Like, should you keep it on standby knowing that you might have it every so often, or do you have to know yourself and say, I know that's my go-to if I really have nothing else?
Yeah, I think everybody's a little different. The thing that's tricky for me is that usually if people don't have things like that are kind of fairly quick and easy options, what they will do is they'll order out, they'll get takeout, they'll go out to a restaurant, right? Usually that's the fallback. And that's not usually healthier than the mac and cheese you have in your pantry. So I recommend keeping some things on hand that are quick and easy and reasonably healthy, right? There are a lot of ways to make a mac and cheese healthier. You can add some things like vegetables, for instance, to those to health them up. And that is a better way than just keeping none of those foods in your house, because people with an empty pantry and an empty refrigerator
can make some probably less than healthy choices, as you said. So. Right. They might be the least of the evils when you're encountering them. So, yeah. Okay, so you've brought it all out, you're looking at it. Before you go to, let's talk maybe about reorganizing.
Sure.
Because, I know I go through the pantry, I'm like, oh, I didn't know I had that jar of sauce. And should it really sort of be categorical and really try to stick to it?
I think so. Everybody's going to end up with miscellaneous. So when you enter my pantry, most people give me some version of a wow. And that wow might be a wow, you're a lunatic. Or it might be a wow, I'm really impressed by how organized your pantry is. It just depends on the person. But what I've done and what I really think is very helpful for a lot of people is put things in bins or baskets, whatever you like. Something, let's say they're tall, you might want them to be see-through. If they're shorter and smaller, they might not need to be if you can see the foods that are in there, but then you gotta label them. So depending on the type of thing, a bag or a basket, I have laminated tags hanging from each of my baskets. And that tells me what's in that. And then I can just pull that basket down and take a look if I want more details. Maybe it'd just be a label on a clear basket. There are a lot of ways to do it. It doesn't have to be expensive, but you gotta have some sort of organization, because if you don't have clearly defined categories, you just shove things wherever's fastest when you get home from the grocery store. So if you have a system and then other people in your house can't ruin the system. I'm not naming anyone in my life. I'm just saying that if you have a system, then it's easy for everybody to stick with it and keep things in the right categories so that you can find stuff when you need it. And when you want crackers, you don't say, I need more crackers, instead of let's eat the crackers from 2 years ago. If that's what you would like to do. So it really helps, I think, to have those. And it also increases your storage capacity by a whole lot. So just from a basic standpoint of space, right, you can store so many things this way, but baskets give you room this way that you wouldn't have had. So it allows you to have more food, which, usually is a good thing. It can get extreme, like I said, if you've got stuff from 1984, but usually having more available for things that are ready to cook is a good thing.
And one of the advantages, too, is if you have children of an age that can prepare their own foods or look for snacks, and it's there where they're not, Mom, Dad, where's the blank?
Right, where's the nuts? In the nuts bin.
And as you're taking stock of your pantry, again, it's that time of year to think, what could I possibly augment? Maybe you're a rice and a pasta person, maybe some beans. But what are some thoughts as to, again, as we head into the summer months, to say, maybe you should think about, having this on hand when you really want to create healthy dinners, especially weekdays, and especially when you might not have a ton of time.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of having a lot of ready-to-go, easy options. So when it comes to summertime, we're starting to think about salads. I hate lame salads. If your salad has lettuce and tomatoes and carrots, I'm not going to eat it. I'm bored. I want an exciting salad. So for me to make a salad exciting, it takes something with crunch. So that's usually, I have, always tortilla chips on hand, so that's an easy one. I don't have to buy something extra. I also really like those sesame sticks, right? Your salad's not full of them, but a little crunch on top goes a long way for interest. If your salad is boring, you're not going to eat it that often. So another thing I really like is fruit. Not everybody, people feel very strongly about this. They are either a fruit in their salad type or a no fruit in their salad. So if you're not one, you can ignore this, but I think it's nice to have fruit. So there's some canned fruits you can keep on hand, right? Okay. Mandarin oranges, never, but they take a long time to go bad. Dried fruit obviously takes a long time to go bad. You don't need that much of it, right? It's pretty dense, so just a sprinkling of cranberries, or my favorite is dried cherries, really make your salad exciting. Those are a couple of the little extra things that you can keep. Nuts, seeds also really spice up a salad in addition to some vegetables.
And again, we talked a little bit about the mac and cheese front, but what about the sweets front? What about, again, those sort of, should I have them around the house or should I not have them?
So I do think this is a know yourself. People have trigger foods, right? Trigger foods are things that once you start eating them, it's impossible to stop. A lot of people really can't have those at home because they just feel like they can't manage the amount. So you have to find foods that are in between.
Okay.
If you're someone who really craves a sweet, and if you really want that, you're going to go out and get ice cream, you should keep something at home that will fulfill that, but you won't want to go crazy on. So a lot of people find dark chocolate works that way because it's sweet, but it's not so sweet that you want to eat the whole bar. So find something like that for you. I like Fig Newmans. They're delicious, but you don't want to eat a whole box of Fig Newmans. It's a bag, technically. And they're much better than Fig Newtons. So something like that I think is a nice in-between to keep around. And the other thing I forgot to mention, so salads, big category coming up, but pasta is always something a lot of people rely on as a staple quick meal. I also like to make that a lot more exciting. So, and more healthful also. And things you can keep in the pantry that don't go bad very quickly are things like artichoke hearts are really delicious in pasta. Beans, a quick way to add some protein. So cannellini beans are really good. So think about things like that, maybe canned olives, black olives, things that will kind of add the nutrient density. And also, frozen veggies are great for that because it's hard to ruin it and it goes right in pasta. Then you end up with this big giant bowl of food that has vegetables and healthy fats and pasta all in one.
And so let's talk a little bit about the freezer. I just want to venture a little bit from the pantry over to the fridge while we
clean it all out while you're doing it. If you're doing it once, clean out the freezer too.
It's amazing how much can accumulate in there. The foods can go bad in the freezer, can they not?
They can. Quality is an issue here. So yes, if you have 10-year-old freezer foods, they will be freezer burned within an inch of your life, and you do not probably want to eat them. The other thing I want to note about cleaning out and organizing your freezer is that a lot of times people with frozen vegetables, you just chuck it in there, it gets in this weird crazy shape, and then you have like 6 that are in this weird crazy shape and impossible to organize. So I encourage you, if you're doing a clean out, include the frozen foods, throw them on the counter for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long it takes to be able to pound that into a flat shape. Then you can stack frozen stuff on top of each other and be able to see what's happening in there.
And frozen vegetables and fruits are actually a really good staple to have on because they freeze them at the peak of freshness and actually really do have a lot of good nutrients to.
They're often more nutritious than the fresh stuff for that reason, absolutely.
And let's go up to the fridge. Probably a good time to revisit maybe condiments.
Condiments are one that people tend to have from really unfortunately long time ago because you don't use a lot. Nobody's pounding like a whole can of, thing of mayonnaise at one time. But so yes, having one time a year where you check some of those dates is definitely a good thing.
Okay, so spring cleaning, as you go through your clothes, you're looking towards the summer months. There's ways, go through your pantry. The reorganization just sounds like it'll put you on the right foot heading into summer when you want to do other things besides, be stuck in your kitchen and looking around for stuff because you've got places to go and people to see.
And I think it's an efficiency issue. So if you are trying to do quick evening meals, most of us are, you want to be able to find the things that you need very quickly. You want to know exactly where they are. So, not having to search through everything to do it really improves your time efficiency.
Well, I appreciate giving us some tips, again, as folks are thinking of spring cleaning, because finally it looks like it's a little springier here. We appreciate your coming in, Shira, and again, we'll have some links and some more information when you come back and look at this on GoLocalProv.com. Shira Hirshberg, thank you so much.
Great to be here. Thanks,
okay,
Kate.
I'll let you go around. Shira Hirshberg with All Foods Nutrition giving us some tips on spring cleaning, specifically your pantry. What you can look for now is spring is in full swing, looking into the summer months. Appreciate Shira coming into the studio, one of our GoLocal regulars. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with our next guest here in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center.